So I'll now hand over to Martin Pinnell. You can share your presentation, Martin.
Hi, Gary. Thank you very much. Yep, I shall attempt to share my presentation now. Bear with me a sec. I'm hoping that's showing now for everyone. It's a slide entitled "Business Funding and Support." Can everyone see that?
No, it's not showing at the moment.
It's not.
I've got your slides. I'll see if I can. Yeah, can people see that? No, they can't.
No, no one can see that. Okay.
Let me just try, and I will see if I can share it. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's going. If you tell me
sharing now. Oh,
yes,
you've got it up.
Yeah, I've got it up. So if you want to start, Martin, I'll just tell me when to change the slides.
I see. Right. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. Sorry, we're going back to less technical ways of doing things. Yeah. So just to introduce myself, I'm Martin Pinnell. I'm program manager in the Bexley business and employment team. That's really economic development team in the council. We cover supporting businesses in town centres and also across the borough, particularly focusing on SMEs. And we also have a whole range of services around skills and employment, helping people to get into work and helping employers to find quality people to employ. So that's in a nutshell what we do as part of Bexley Council. So I've got to put a few slides together which focus on business funding and support. So it's not simply funding. There's other free support that we also provide through with and through partners, and all of which is funded. A lot of which is externally funded through government funding that's being provided to help tackle COVID-19 and the impacts of that on businesses and the sort of whole recovery program. Gary, if you could move to the next slide, please. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to point up is I'm going in sort of order of urgency. So this first couple of slides is about the Bexley Innovation and Growth Grant. We've only got a few days left to apply on that. This is a grant for small businesses in the London Borough of Bexley, with grants of between 5,000 up to 25,000. And the purpose of it is to help businesses small businesses to grow, diversify and adapt, and obviously adapting to the COVID situation and the sort of post-COVID landscape. It's a different marketplace for many businesses now, and it's adapting. It's about increasing efficiency, and it's also about reducing environmental impact. So those are the key outcomes that we want to see from this fund. And then the key criteria that you need to meet if you're going to apply for this. There are others, but these are the really important ones. Independent trading business located in Bexley. You've got to be in Bexley, obviously. Started before the 1st of February 2020, so you've got to be going at least to sort of a year, really, and up to 49 employees. Turnover of 50k plus. That doesn't have to be the most recent full year, because obviously people have been impacted by COVID, but the year before the pandemic hit us, if you can show you've got turnover of that or above, and have experienced losses due to COVID-19, even if it's 10% and above in terms of turnover, that should be fine. Because this is a COVID scheme, we have to have some element of somebody being impacted by that or showing that they've been impacted by COVID. Next slide, please. What sort of things can it be used for? Well, new equipment, technology or digital marketing tools. It could be a new website or a new sort of something to help you move into social media, research and development, specialist advice and training for you or for your staff. Premises adaptation as well is included in there, but that's internal only. So we're trying to avoid getting involved in the sticky business of getting planning permission. So it's really primarily about modifying the internals of a business premises. The proposed purchases must help the business to innovate. So it can't just be, like for like. I need a new fridge, and you just sort of upgrade the fridge, but it's about changing how your business operates and innovates to meet as many as possible of those 4 key outcomes that I mentioned in the first slide. The grants can't be used for cash flow related expenditure, so things like general running costs, rent rates, paying off existing debts, or to support salaries. So this is sort of new spend really, and capital. It doesn't have to be capital as such. It can be, as I say, training and advice and that sort of thing, but it can't be business as usual stuff. The full details are there in the link. I'll ask Gary to circulate these slides, if you don't mind, Gary, to attendees and those that have registered, so that they can click on those links. It's all on our website, and you can view it on there. The deadline for applications, as I say, is very short now. Monday 24th, so 5 p.m. on Monday. So got a few days left to apply. Next slide, please.
Sorry, I'm just having a few technical problems here.
Oh dear. We're doing well with this, aren't we?
Yeah. If you can just keep talking, Martin, I think.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I will do. So the next one is I want to talk about was the Omicron Hospitality and Leisure Grant. Up to 6,000 is available for eligible businesses in the hospitality, leisure, and accommodation sectors that are struggling due to Omicron. So this is one-off. It's a one-off grant, and the level of grant depends on the rateable value of the premises. It's got to be a rated property, so you have to be a ratepayer. It doesn't mean you've necessarily paid anything in the last 12 months because of rate, rates have obviously been discounted for many businesses, but if you're a ratepayer, you have, that's the eligibility. Rateable value up to 15,000, you'd get 2,667, and the maximum, if you're 51,000 and rateable value and above, 6,000. The businesses, as I say, must be ratepayers in the London Borough of Bexley. They must be in the sectors of sorry, that's the next slide. If you are able to move it on, I see you did move one. Get on one, Gary. The hospitality, leisure, and accommodation, and there's very specific sort of definitions of those from the government's point of view. So leisure is quite narrowly defined. It's businesses that provide opportunities, experiences, and facilities, in particular for culture, recreation, entertainment, celebratory events, and days and nights out. So it doesn't include things like gyms and leisure centres, just so you're aware. But so it would mainly be, sort of places like nightclubs and it's quite a sort of specific category really. But as I say, further information is available on the on the council website of all the eligibility criteria, and deadline for applications with that on Monday the 14th of February. And we actually have to make so I mean, with all these grants, they all have to be paid well before the end of March. So there's a big rush on, unfortunately, at the moment. Hence very short deadlines, and apologies for those. Sorry, next slide is so there's a couple of things that are coming soon. They're not available yet, but we're working towards getting those out as early February, hopefully. The first one is the additional restrictions grant. This is the top up that the government announced just before Christmas and provided some sort of guidance quite recently. I think it was 30th of December they put out the guidance for it. We are working now towards creating a scheme, getting an application form ready, and the hope is that will be open for applications early February. it'll focus on businesses and sectors impacted by Omicron, but not covered by the scheme that we've just spoken about for ratepayers. So it'll cover people like businesses in personal services like hairdressers, beauty salons, event sector, and travel and tourism, for example. But there's a few others that we'd focus on. Businesses up to 49 employees, so that the smaller end of the scale. We're not looking for home-based or purely mobile businesses for this scheme, and part of the reason for that is it's a very small amount of money. Actually, it's about 380k for the whole borough. So yeah, it's not going to go far. It will be on the basis of first come, first served. As I say, is expected to open hopefully early February, and we'll probably have quite a short window for applications. Then the next one is COVID-19 which is the something called CARF, COVID-19 Additional Relief Fund. This is not a grant, it's a relief. So it's basically focused on business rate payers, just giving them a discount against their liability for a particular period. It's actually for this financial year, but it may well be that it'll be applied, quite late this year or even early next financial year. It's expected to launch before the end of February, but no application will be required, unlike the other things. So you would need to. So it's really focused on businesses that have been impacted by COVID, but aren't in the usual suspects, as in retail, hospitality, and accommodation. That may include some manufacturing, office, but it's still to be decided as exactly what that will include. It's quite a narrow there's quite a narrow definition from the government on what we can and can't support with that, and that, as I say, will be automatically applied. No one will need, people that are eligible won't need to apply for it. That's the grants and reliefs section. The other bits I should mention is other free support. And it's not cash, but it is support in kind, which otherwise you might have to pay for. So the first thing is get your business online for free, which is the e-business support program, which we're running in partnership with Southeast Enterprise, and that's a 3-year funded program. Unlike most of this stuff, it's a bit longer term, but definitely worth looking up if you're looking to get into upgrading your web presence, or getting online even in the first place. There's some really practical support available there. Business Knowledge Hub at Bexley Libraries. They're developing and launching a business knowledge hub, initially at the Central Library, but there may be other locations around the borough. Central Library, Bexley Heath. It's the jewel in the crown for that is 2 new resources: Mintel, which is a basically sort of top of the range market research database. So if you're looking to enter a new market, it's a really good place to start. And also Compass, which is about really finding suppliers all around the world, actually, in different sectors. And that goes alongside the existing resources such as Compass. Cobra, which is a very useful resource for businesses. Specialist one support with CNT Associates. We're also backing Gary, and he's got a project there with us, funded through the Additional Restrictions Grant to help some businesses. I'm sure he'd be able to tell you a bit more about that after me. Free business support networking events with White Label, running from February to May, really to help people network, but also introduce and tease out a lot more detail on some of this support. The first event is penciled in at the moment for the 22nd of February, which will be a breakfast event at the Engine House. Yeah, put that in your diaries. And I'm sure that will be a very useful and interesting event. We've just about to finalise a deal with the Federation of Small Business, and working with Rachel and her colleagues to provide 100 free memberships for Bexley businesses. This is focused on micro enterprises particularly in sectors impacted by COVID. So some terms apply, so it's not kind of a free for all, but we want to focus on particularly those that, you know, maybe haven't had as much support as they would have liked on to help them cope with COVID. And as I say, there's 100 free memberships on offer there. More information will be coming out in the coming days on how to apply for that. Money to support an apprentice. This is a new apprenticeship levy transfer scheme. So basically, if you're looking for to support an apprentice in your business, there is some money available through the council to help you support that. And then lastly on this list, free recruitment services delivered by Bexley Business and Employment. It's something that not a lot of people know about. We actually provide you know, free recruitment, so to help you if you have a need for staff, we can place people with you. Yeah, so that next slide please. We're also working with a number of organisations to support town centre businesses. There's been a programme of events going on for a couple of years really through something called the Welcome Back Fund, supported by the European Regional Development Fund. That's been delivering lots of events and initiatives focused on bringing back footfall and vitality into the town centres, obviously, which have really been hammered through COVID over the last couple of years in terms of footfall and spend. So there's been lots of stuff going on, but there's some specific business support events for town centre businesses that are planned for this coming quarter in Bexley Heath, Crayford, Erith, Sidcup and Welling. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of those are managed by local groups such as, for example, the Bids. So look out for those if you're based anywhere there, or you know someone who's got a business in any of those towns. There's some stuff that you can get involved with. Next slide, please, if you can. Okay, to find out more, we've got a new business support guide, which is downloadable from the BBE. Well, it's actually the Bexley for Business website, which actually has all of this information on with links and you know, further information. So really a useful document and worth having a look at to get a full range of what's on offer. Sign up to the BBE newsletter. I always say this when I do presentations for Gary. It's a bit of a broken record on this, but you know, if you sign up to that, it's a free newsletter. You'll automatically get a weekly free newsletter which will come through to your mailbox, hopefully not into your spam. We're basically telling you all the latest news on any support that's available in the borough, whether that's from the council or someone else. I noticed there's a question in the...
Yes, I was going to mention that, Martin. There's somebody saying that they've got a business in SE 28 and are they eligible for this programme?
SE 28. It depends on whether, I mean, do you know whether, do they know whether they pay council tax or business rates to Bexley? That would probably be the clincher. I mean, there is actually a way of, there's a government page that you can check your postcode against.
Hi, Roger.
Hello, hi.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Roger.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, did you say you pay your council tax or business rates to Bexley Council?
Bexley.
Bexley, yes. Did you say that?
I don't. Nobody asked me, but I paid them. Yeah.
Yeah. Your business is based in Bexley, is it?
My place where I live is Bexley, so obviously the house is registered on that address.
Yeah. Yes. So your business is registered there. Yeah. Yeah. Then you're eligible then for this program.
Then you would. That's right. Yeah. So you'd be considered to be a Bexley business if the address that you're running your business from is in Bexley and you pay council tax or rates to business to Bexley. Yeah, you're a Bexley business. So yes, absolutely. Obviously, you've got to meet other, other eligibility criteria, but that would certainly qualify you as a Bexley business. Okay. I'll pick up some. I've got a couple of minutes to pick up some questions at the end, but just to go to the last slide, Gary, if you wouldn't mind. There's a new BBE website coming soon, Bexley for Business website. So it's replacing the Bexley for Business website. It'll be called BBE, which stands for Bexley Business and Employment, and that's our team, and it'll be hosted on the bexley.gov.uk website, but it'll be a sort of mini site with all the information that you need to find out what we can, how the council can support you in different ways. So so do keep an eye out for that. That's expected to be launched quite soon, in hopefully in the coming 2 or 3 weeks. That's really all I had to say in terms of a presentation. I've got about 2 minutes to pick up any questions. One thing I was going to say, Gary, I hope it's okay for you to circulate that presentation, because it is obviously got quite a few links in it.
Absolutely. No, that I was going to ask you that very question, so you've anticipated it, Martin, so thank you for that. Sam, you were making a point. Do you want to elaborate what it was?
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
We don't pay rate because we're in a business estate, and so our landlord pays the rate, but our business, we cater for art, culture, and training for youth.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not sure where we belong, whether we're in Greenwich or Bexley. Our postcode is SE28 0BQ, and the address has never been given to us as what borough we are. I simply accepted the business. I started there in 2020, and I've been there since, but we're struggling because we cannot operate during the lockdown, and thank God the lockdown is easing now. We are beginning to start business, and we are down in everything, both in buying of equipment, new equipment. We can't afford it anymore, and then the rent is equally overdue.
Hi, Sam. We think, Rachel, have you got the postcode checker there? Yeah, so we think it's in Greenwich. So what you need to do, Sam, because you're not going to be eligible for Bexley-based support, because Thamesmead is always complicated, but Greenwich Council are running a number of support programs as well, similar to this. They're not the same though, and the timescales are different. So you'll need to check the Greenwich Council website, because it is confusing in Thamesmead in SE28, because part of it's in Bexley and part of it is in Greenwich, and we've been here for 10 years and even I'm not sure which parts are where sometimes. So but we think that you're actually in Greenwich, and that's where you need to focus, because Greenwich have got similar funding programs to Bexley, but also
it's worth sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say it's worth pointing out that for anyone who does have a question about that, there is a sort of postcode checker on the gov.uk website where you can check which council you belong to by putting your full postcode in, and that usually sorts it out.
But that's in Nathan Way. That postcode is in Nathan Way, so that is in Greenwich. That's in Greenwich then, definitely. So as I say, also, if you stay online, I'm going to talk about lots of other funding opportunities, which are in addition to the ones that Martin has mentioned, and other support opportunities as well. So there'll be ample on this morning.
But because we're not in Bexley, is it going to be relevant to me still?
Yes, because these are some are regional, some are London wide, and others are national. So it applies across the UK. So there will be other opportunities, as you will hear.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for Martin from anyone from Bexley? Okay, I'd like to thank you for coming on this morning, Martin, as always. If anybody's got any additional questions for Martin that you can't think of right now, then please put them in the chat. We will be circulating this presentation, which has got all the links on it, and our own summary presentation as well. So for those of you who have joined us this morning, you'll get full access to all of that information. So Martin's got to go now, so thanks very much for joining us, Martin, and no doubt we'll see you again soon. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the rest of the presentation with you. If you just hang on for 1 second, and go back online. The first is, I put this in the chat as well. Here are all of our social media links. What I put in the chat as well is the link to the Bexley Business Program that we are running, which I'll talk a bit more about in a minute. But what you have to do, you have to register with Bexley Council, and the first link in the chat is the register to the link to register with that. Most people on here have already done that, but if in case there's anybody who hasn't, that's what you have to do. And then once you've done that, please notify us, and then we will make arrangements for you to join our program. This is just a little bit more about CNT. We are based at the Engine House in Bexley. We've been here for over 10 years, and we provide business support and fundraising services to businesses and non-profit making organisations and charities throughout London and the South East, and indeed elsewhere. What I'm going to do today is show you a range of other funding sources and help you identify further support. We've already heard about the Bexley support that you can access, which is quite significant, but there are other opportunities, and I'm going to show you where they are. We will be sending out, in addition to Martin's presentation, a summary of this presentation as well. There's no charge for it, it's free. So you will get other additional information for what is going on in Bexley, as well as some of the Bexley related information as well. So these are the top sites. This is the government's business support site. There are also a number of other good ones. The Federation of Small Businesses has got one. Rachel may want to mention that later, so I won't say much about that. South East London Chamber of Commerce is also regularly updating their advice to businesses on their website. And we've also got the London Business Hub, which is an organisation set up by the Mayor of London a few years ago, which provides a lot of business support and advice, and indeed there's some funding opportunities. And of course, wherever you are, you can always look at your local authority website. So if you're in Bexley, it's bexley.gov.uk. If you're in Greenwich, it's Greenwich or royalgreenwich.gov.uk, and lewisham.gov.uk, etc. So we'll move on now. This, if you're having any tax issues, then this is the helpline from HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. They are providing support to businesses where they can. They're not going to waive any tax payments, but they have deferred some. And I was working with a business recently who, after my advice, they went to HMRC and they've agreed to a payment plan for outstanding taxes, because this business has had significant problems in trading because of COVID. So it's worth contacting them if you've got any problems with tax or VAT related to your business. We've just had a presentation about Bexley support. Here's another one. This is the Bexley portal, which provides some free resources. But you will be getting that. You've just had Martin's presentation, and you will get a PowerPoint with all the current ones on it. So I'm not going to talk too much about these. Let's have a look at the next one. Yeah, Martin mentioned the retail program as well. So that's on the other slide. This is the one, what I will mention is the one that we are involved in as CNT associates. The links to join this, as I say, are now in the chat. It's the first link. If you hit that link, you can register with Bexley Council. And then if you inform us that you've registered, then we can work with you. And there is no charge for this. It's a free program. I'll tell you about the main elements in a minute. There are other partners as well. One that's on here now, Federation of Small Businesses. Martin mentioned some of the other ones. We got Jade from Erith Exchange as well today. So I don't know whether you want to say anything later, Jade, but please do about the support that's been given to some Erith businesses. And there's a range of others, which again, Martin's mentioned these. This is the CNT program, and there is a link at the top of the slide as well. If you want to copy that right now, you can. The program has 5 elements to it. The first is a 2-hour business review. This is free of charge, and we will help to review your business, the issues it's got, and or the development needs it's got, because it's not all bad news at the moment. There's some businesses that are expanding as well as others that have had problems. We will help you try and find a strategy to support and develop your business, whatever the development needs or issues are. We also provide additional support to develop a template. It's a limited template in certain other areas. For example, an outline business plan, a digital marketing strategy, some information about getting your business online, a business continuity plan, or developing an online store strategy. We haven't got the time to develop these things directly for you through this program, but we can give you a lot of advice and help you on the initial steps, and then refer you to other partners, which I will come to in a minute. We're running a range of webinars on funding issues. This is one of them. We ran the first one in December, and there will be more. So if you register with us, we will send you the details of those, amongst other things, about getting your business online, using Shopify to develop an online store, funding and support for women-led businesses, how to write a funding application, and an Ask the Experts panel, which I think is the next one next month. If you've got a funding issue, there'll be a panel of people who can give advice and support on that, and we'll take people's questions directly from you. We've also got a YouTube channel where many of our presentations are online. The previous presentation to this one we did in December is online, and this will go online in due course. We are building that up, and there'll be more presentations, and we've got wider presentations from the other work we do on that already. There's about 18 or 19 presentations already on it, and we'll be putting more in future, as well as other information on that YouTube channel. The other thing that is part of this program is a pathway to other partners that I detailed on the other page. For example, we can refer you direct, if that's felt to be necessary and agreed with you, after your business review, to Southeast Enterprise, who are doing the digital skills and training programs for Bexley Council. They're actually based, or going to be based, in our building. and I work closely with the managing director of Southeast Enterprise, Tony Goldstein, to develop this project. So as you can see, we're just one provider on this program, but there is some significant support here, and we can help you with additional support and refer you to other partners as appropriate. So it's well worth considering, and as I say, all of this support is free. There is no charge to you. Martin's mentioned the innovation grant, and you'll get the slides about this, so I'm not going to talk about that. We'll move on now. If you want, these are a whole range of other wider funding opportunities. They're not just confined to Bexley, because there is a lot out there if you know where to look. So here are a number of sites that you can access. First one's called My Funding Central, which is a business support site, and they have about 4,000 funding sources on it at any one time. For smaller organizations and individuals, you can get a free subscription, but there is a paywall on that. So you've got to try and register for it, but you can review certain levels of it for free. Another very good source of advice that I would recommend is the Entrepreneur Handbook, which is everything you want to know about being in business, really. But they've got 60 pages of information on grant funding throughout the UK, and a lot of other very useful information. And there's a couple of other ones there, the Government Grants Hub and the London Business Hub as well. Again, which have got a lot of good information about funding that is available on a London-wide basis, and indeed the government grants one on a hub on a national basis. This is the government's national business support line. You can phone them up directly. In London, it is managed by the Greater London Authority, so it'll probably be the London Business Hub who are doing it. They have got a website as well, and you can email them. You may get referred back to local sources, but you can contact them for business support and advice, and no doubt they're giving a lot of useful information on the coronavirus related programs and other support for businesses. Here is some other useful support. I'll not go through all of these, but what I would want to point out is the British Library. If you've got any kind of intellectual property, and most businesses are digitized these days, so you will have some intellectual property, you can get a lot of information and support about that from the British Library. It's all free. They are leading experts in this area, and they run a lot of events as well. Previously, many of them were live events you could go along to. Obviously, during the pandemic, they've been doing more online. I think they have gone back to live in-person events recently, but where they are now, you need to check on the website for further information. And there's a number of other sites there. This is a little bit more about the Entrepreneur's Handbook and the support that they give. It's a comprehensive list of UK business grants to find and apply for the best grants for your business. And then they detail the amount of the grant, the criteria for accessing it, because that's always very important, the coverage of it, and much more. So again, that is well worth having a look at. The next few slides are support for women-led businesses and projects. One of them, for example, because there's quite a few of these, but I'm going to put a limited number in this presentation because of time restrictions. This is the Enterprise Nation. That's a big national business support organization, Female Startup of the Year. The next one, they usually hold it around about February every year. But if you go on the Enterprise Nation website, then there's the link. You will get more information about that. It was previously held live and was a big event, but obviously with Omicron, etc., that it may be different this year. I don't know. You'd have to check that out online. But they provide a lot of support for women-led businesses. There's some of the previous prizes, which range from information technology equipment and a range of others, and to consultations with leading members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and various other vouchers and gifts. Move on now. Here is another one. This is an organization. This is a loan program as opposed to grants, because obviously it's better to look at grants, because grants are non-repayable rather than loans, which of course loans are repayable. But this is an organization called the Fredericks Foundation, which is a registered charity. And they support entrepreneurs who've been turned down for loans from other lenders for whatever reasons. You know, like the mainstream banks, you know, it might be, there's a whole host of reasons why people get turned down. They might be very new in business and have no track record, or there might be an issue with securing a loan that sometimes people don't want to do. These are unsecured loans as well, which helps. But there's more information on the Fredericks Foundation website, and what you have to have is a viable business plan, but they do give you some help with that. You can get loans of up to 15,000 for startups, and loans up to 35,000 to support growth. Here is another one. This is for women-led tech businesses which are underrepresented. It's an organization called Geeks UK, and they have a number of programs. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but they've got a program called 500 Women Funding Flawless Female Founders, and a range of other support, because it's not just financial support. They give consultancy advice and support as well, and there's a range of other related support, as you can see on that slide. And the final one of these slides is the Women in Innovation program. This is run by an organisation called Innovate UK, which is part of a government initiative called UKRI, UK Research and Investment, and which has got a lot of funding opportunities on its site. But this is to support women-led tech entrepreneurs who are underrepresented in that particular industry, and there's some specialist support and grants for women-led tech projects. We'll move on now. This is some of the national support. One of the things that is worth looking at is the apprenticeship schemes, because you can actually get up to £3,000 now. Put £1,500. That's usually the minimum support for taking on an apprentice for your business. The funding has actually been transferred back to, or some of it has been actually transferred back to your local authorities. So wherever you are, Bexley, Greenwich, etc., they manage some of the financial aspects of this program now. Again, I think there's more information on the slide that Martin put out earlier, but you can always contact me about that if you're interested in apprenticeships. You've got to take an apprentice on for 1 year, and you have to pay them at least the minimum wage, but you do get a grant of up to £3,000 to support that apprentice. You know, it can partly subsidise the wages, etc., etc. But if you do take them on, you've got to take them on for at least a year. There's no obligation after that, but you've got to take them on for at least a year as part of the agreement. But more on that from the National Apprenticeship Service, and there is the link there you can see on the screen. Here are a few other local government schemes. If you want information on this, probably the best place to go is the site in the middle, grantsonline.co.uk. That's mainly a free site. There is a paywall on it, but you can get access to the information. It's a site that we subscribe to here at CNT Associates. It's not overly expensive. I think it's about £120 a year. But if you don't want to do that, you can still look at the funds. You just have to go away and Google them because you can't click directly through to them. But if you do that, you can get access to it. Just look at the name of the fund and then Google it. So if you want to do that, I've just saved you £120. So it's probably worth tuning in already for that this morning. Let's have a look at the next slide. This is some of the regional support out there. I've already mentioned the London Business Hub that was set up by the Mayor of London and is well worth a look at. There's a lot of good online training videos on that as well. Another one that's been operating in this area is the East London Business Place. That mainly tries to provide businesses with access to support and contracts with employers at Canary Wharf, but it has spread to other parts of the city as well and to other areas. So their website is well worth having a look at. And again, there are some contracting opportunities potentially with them. Another one is Newable, which used to be called Greater London Enterprise and came out of the Greater London Authority many years ago. But again, they provide a number of programs to support business development and specific sectors like tech businesses, and that they do have some grant funding and other support as part of that program. Let's move on now. Yeah, this is a bit more about the London Business Hub. There's the website address. You can get a free online business review from them if you register for it, and there's a range of other support as well. It's well worth checking out. A little bit about crowdfunding now, which is becoming more popular for businesses. Probably the best known British site is the second one, crowdfunder.co.uk. And basically what you do is you put a project online and then invite people, if you're a non-profit, to make a contribution or donation to it, essentially. If you're a business, then it's slightly different because you can get a share of that business. It is a risk capital though, but you can put, so the investor could potentially lose their investment. But if you're a business, you can put yourself forward to these investors. And obviously, if your pitch succeeds, then you can get the money to start to develop your business. There are a number of other ones around. Cedars is probably the biggest one in the world. That's an American site, but it does operate in the UK. And they claim that they've managed to channel £1.5 billion into businesses that they have worked with. So if that amount is true, that's very impressive. Crowdcube, which is a British one run by Virgin, it's relatively recently that this has started. They've raised over £100 million for projects in the UK. So what you do with crowdfunding is you put a project or business idea online, and then the platform will charge you between 4 and 9% of what you raise. And they give you all the tools on the site to do it, and you're also advised to make a very short video. If anybody wants to know more about crowdfunding, then please contact me directly, or that's something we can look at as part of the business support program if you sign up. But crowdfunding has expanded in recent years, but there are some things to watch out for. That's a bit more about what Crowdfunder do. Access to relevant and extra funding, because sometimes they've got other people they work with that will match fund anything that you raise. So if you raise £2,000, one of their partners might match that with another £2,000. For example, the GLA did a match funding program with Crowdfunder in 2020, whereby you could raise, if you raise up to £5,000, they would match it with another £5,000, which was a very popular scheme. You also get access to coaching and support, and they charge 5% of what you raise plus some transaction fees. But if you look on the site, there's much more about that there. Let's move on. If there's any charities here today, or other non-profits, charitable sector is still very much alive, still giving out approximately £5 billion in grants per year. Best sites for that are Charity Excellence, which is free, and Grants Online that I've already mentioned, which does have a paywall on it. The other one, Trust Funding UK, is a good site as well, but that has got quite an expensive payroll on it. But those are paywall on it. But those are the best three. And just to show you one quick example of a charitable trust funder, because this is the biggest in Britain. This is the Welcome Trust, which normally charitable trusts just field applications from charitable trusts, sometimes non-profit making companies as well. But this one, if you're doing work in health research and health science, they will accept applications from any kind of organization, whether you're a private company or indeed an individual as well. And they give out over £700 million a year. Yes, the exact figure is about 770 million. So it's actually nearer 800 million every year, because they're a big drug company, one of the biggest in Europe. And obviously, they're doing pretty well at the moment because they're involved in the vaccine program. Indeed, they advise the government. So they've got grants ranging from 5,000 to 3 million, but they even fund some arts-related organisations as well. They've got a program called the Public Engagement Fund, but it's focused on health. So if you can make a film or produce some art around health research and science, then they will consider funding it, and they've got the resources to do it as well. The website address is there. Central and local government funding, again, there's a lot of support out there. We've looked at some of it already, so I won't go through it again. My Funding Central is a good site to get that information. There are other sites which are listed there, and the one at the bottom, Supply2Gov, is a government tenders website, because the government is spending a lot of money at the moment on goods and services from businesses large and small, and that is a website that you can potentially access that information, but you've got to register with them first. So have a look at that site. We're coming towards the end now. This is the UKRI site, UK Research and Innovation. Again, that's well worth checking out, because they've got a range of support and funding opportunities in a whole number of areas. There are others, but I couldn't get them all on one slide. But they include developing people and skills, researching culture, public engagement, tackling COVID, and responding to climate change. But there are other opportunities on that site, so I would recommend you having a look at that. This is Innovate UK, which is part of UKRI. And they run a number of programs for digital support programs. They ran one till late last year, which focused on support for new digital projects, and there was funding from 25,000 to 3 million available from that, but it is very competitive for that, and you've got to show that you can your project will produce a financial return very, very quickly. So the finances and the budgets are very important on that. This is another of the final ones, the Government Grants Hub, and it has a number of funding and loan programs on that, mainly for non-profits, but also some individual business sectors as well. And finally, that's a little bit more about the British Library. what they do, some of the programs there. They've actually been working in a number of libraries, because there's been a project in Bexley, and indeed the Bexley Library Service is still running the Mintel project that Martin mentioned earlier, which is market research software, which is really top of the range stuff. You have to pay for access to it. It will be very expensive, but access to it on the business support program is free. And they've got a range of other projects around intellectual property, and they are doing some work in many local areas throughout London and indeed South London, because I was in Bromley yesterday working with Startup Bromley, part of the British Library network, and they're working in Bexley, and they're certainly working in Greenwich as well. So they're doing a lot of good work locally. Okay, I'm going to stop the share because we've covered an awful lot of ground this morning. Thank you for bearing with us. So if anybody wants to ask any questions, you can either put it in the chat or ask me now. Okay, I can't see anybody immediately. You can email us as well. All my contact details are in the chat. I'm now going to hand you over to Rachel, and thank you for bearing with us, Rachel.
Brilliant. Hi, everybody. I think I know quite a few people on here already, and I know quite a few of you are actually members as well. So apologies to you if I'm repeating what you already know. But as Gary and Martin mentioned, I suppose the main reason that I'm here today is because we will be, although it's not quite finalised yet, be working with Bexley Council in regards to free memberships to certain businesses, although I don't know currently which businesses that will be, because yes, it will be ones impacted by COVID, but I haven't had the criteria that I've got to follow. So at the end of this, if you are interested in it, drop me an email. I've put my details in the chat, and then I'll be able to let you know either way whether I can offer you a free membership or not. But hopefully, even if you're not eligible, after I've run through things today, it might be something that you'll consider paying for. But FSB is short for Federation of Small Businesses. We're actually a not-for-profit campaigning group. So we lobby government both locally and nationally on behalf of you. So hopefully it means the decisions that they roll out have less of a negative impact on your business than they may have done if we hadn't have been involved. But we're the UK's largest representation of self-employed and small businesses in the UK. And because of that, it's given us the buying power to secure lots of business services, I suppose the ones that underpin business, at either preferential rates or even free to our members. So it can save businesses a lot of money, but it also gives them peace of mind, knowing that there is somebody there behind them wanting them to succeed and being there when, unfortunately, issues arise, because in business, unfortunately, it happens. But I'm going to share my screen, and I know it always sounds funny when I say I'm going to take you through the website. Now, I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but I'm just going to skirt through it because there's so much useful information on the website that you can access and that you can look at either whilst we wait to see whether Bexley's free memberships are, or you are eligible for. But at the same time, there's lots of information that you can access straight away that might be of benefit to you now. So I'll just share my screen. So hopefully that will come up shortly. I seem to have frozen as always. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Rachel.
There you go. I'll come back.
Here it's on screen now.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you very much. Right. So when you initially go onto the FSB website, it will always take you to the campaigns page. Now, this bit is actually quite important because this is where you can access quite a lot of useful information. So even if you're thinking, I don't necessarily need any support at the minute, it may be that you're looking at taking your or moving your business to become a more sustainable, greener business. It might be you're actually in the early stages and you're looking at setting up. So have a look through. Each campaign takes you through to lots of other information that will be of benefit to you. So familiarise yourself with that. There's always new campaigns being added, new hubs that will have information to support your business. Events, we do absolutely loads of networking, and I know I've seen some of you on our events before, but it's not just networking that we do. We do virtual networking when we can, we do face-to-face. And we also do masterclasses and webinars. So masterclasses are actually events that are put on by our members who have volunteered their time to, I suppose, impart their knowledge for other FSB members and small businesses across the UK. So as a member, you have those opportunities as well. So depending what your business does, it might be something that actually you want to consider doing. You might want to be involved in that. And then webinars are actually, I suppose, the heavier subjects. I know when the pandemic hit, we held absolutely loads because insurance was a massive issue, funding, the grants, etc. But it doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes we've got industry specifics on, whether it's property, whether it's importing and exporting. So again, have a look, because there's lots of information on there that might be relevant to your business. And just because there's not an event on now doesn't mean that there won't be in the near future. One little tip for you, when you are trying to find events, you will see all of them in one go. So don't use the search bar across the bottom, because where they are all online at the minute, of course, there's no physical address for it. So scroll down and use the regions tab and minimize it to where you are. So for example, we're Greater London at the minute. If you click that, it will take you to all the Greater London events. If you're looking at webinars, don't have a region ticked though, just leave it blank and use the event type. FSB membership, as I've sort of touched on already, we offer our members absolutely loads of benefits. So it's the foundations of business. So I think the main one that businesses absolutely love is the free legal advice. So we give our members free business legal advice 24/7, 365 days a year. It is a quick phone call, and within an hour, the right type of solicitor will call you back and either answer the questions, help you with the issues that you're having, or just talk you through something maybe that you're thinking about and you're not sure. Because obviously in business, if we get it wrong, it costs us money. So they're there to support you and, I suppose, save you money, because we know how expensive solicitors can be, but also reassure you that you're moving along the right path or not, as the case may be. There's also linked to that the legal hub. So if you do need any legal documents, you've got access to about 1,300 of them, half of which are PDFs, so fact sheets and guides. The other half are templates that you can download, put your information on, your details, etc. And then they're your documents. If you do need to edit them, because maybe you need to tailor them slightly to your type of business, you can work with the legal helpline. And if you do it that way, you've got a document edited for free. Or if you want them to do it for you, again, they can do that, but they'll do it at a preferential rate. And because they wrote the original document, it will be a lot cheaper editing it than most solicitors, because they won't have to review it. And then you're getting a preferential rate on writing an additional clause, for example. So it keeps the cost down for you, and just depends on your budget, which option is right for you. We can also help you out with things like your insurances, because it's amazing how many small businesses don't have the right insurances in place. And because they're not legal requirements, a lot of businesses don't actually have any insurance in place. But you're putting yourself at a lot of risk. Now, it's your business, it's your money, and also everybody's risk levels are different. But we can give you a bit of a health check, have a chat with you to make sure you know what you should have. Make sure you've got what's the cover that you've got in place at the minute, if you've got any, is actually the right cover. And then when it's up for renewal, we can also quote you and hopefully bring the cost down on that. But regardless, FSB is very much about helping. So if for any reason you choose not to take an insurance policy with us, we will still act as an advice line for you anyway. So you can always pick up the phone if you have an issue with your current insurers. We've got two different ways. So obviously you're in business because you want to make money, and we all make it slightly differently. So whether it is a business that maybe you take payments straight away and you need to look at the cost of your card machines, we have preferential rates with WorldPay. So they will give FSB members a discount on their card machines and their online payments, etc. But if you're a business that maybe sends out invoices, there's always a risk that somebody doesn't pay it. So we've also got a service to help you there, which is the debt recovery side of things. And you get first stage debt recovery letters for free, which quite often means the debtor pays straight away. But if they don't, then we can take it to the next level, and it's up to you whether we support you and give you the information that you need to do it yourself, or whether you want us to do it. And of course, if we do it, there will be a charge, but it is at a preferential rate. So obviously you can analyse that before you make a decision. There's lots of other benefits. I'm not going to talk through all of them because otherwise you'd probably get bored of listening to my voice. But check out the FSB website if you haven't. There's lots on there, but my bit of advice is speak to me. Because there's so much more involved with each of the benefits, and obviously I can talk you through all of them, and also I suppose answer the questions that are relevant to your business, because I'll know which benefits are going to be more relevant to you than maybe somebody else. Have a look at the skills page as well. There's lots of useful areas there. If you haven't been able to attend some of the webinars, for example, there's an on-demand section. There's lots of downloadable guides that you can use and follow, and lots of other links through to other helpful organisations that have got sometimes free stuff for you, whether it's just because of FSB or that they're running and maybe you weren't aware of. So have a look. And I'll just show you very quickly the FSB Legal Hub, which is where you will find absolutely loads of information. This bit sometimes takes a little while to open because it's quite large. So while I'm waiting for that, if you are interested in becoming an FSB member, if you are a Bexley business, drop me an email and I will just add you to my list. And as soon as I've got confirmation that the contracts and all of the finer details between FSB and Bexley are done, and once I know their criteria, I'll be able to drop you an email back, give you a call, even come out and say hello and talk things through with you face to face. If you're not a Bexley business or you're not eligible, cost of membership starts from £177 for the first year. That's based on 0 employees. Then actually goes down after the first year to 147 because you only pay registration fee in year 1. If you do have employees, it is slightly more, but obviously I can answer cost prices with you individually. But that's the FSB Legal Hub. So as you'll see, there's lots of different sectors. If you are already members, check out the Legal Health Checker because it will let you know what documents you should have in place, and it'll even link you through the portal to find them. If you're not a member, it gives you a bit of an idea of the types of categories that we can help you out with via the legal helpline, documents that we hold on the portal, but that we can also give you a little bit of a health check once you join, so that if you weren't sure what documents you should have, it'll work it out for you. I'll stop sharing and I will stop there because otherwise I will just keep going.
Okay, thank you for that, Rachel. I've noticed there's one question from Sam there. Can I get legal support with my rent? I think, Sam, you're better off talking to Rachel offline about that. I suspect...
Believe it or not, I would say, yes, you can call the legal helpline and they will get the right type of solicitor to call you back. So it depends. If you're looking to try and reduce your rent, then not necessarily that. They might be able to give you a bit of advice. But if there's legal issues with the rent side of things, then yes.
Yes, thank you. I will do.
Oh, okay, thank you. Has anybody else got any other questions about what, because we've gone through an awful lot today, and of course we've had 2 very good guest speakers as well, so I hope you found it useful. If you want to join, if you're a Bexley based business or want to join the business support program, because I know there's 1 or 2 people already who've registered, like Susan and Sybil. If you're not registered, there's a link in the chat, the very first link of our links as well. There's also the link to my page on LinkedIn and also to our YouTube channel. So all the links are there. If you are new, and what you have to do first, you have to register via that link with Bexley Council to join the programme. And then once you've done that, please contact us and we can provide support. We'll also be able to, once the FSB membership issue is clearly defined, forward you to Rachel if you may be eligible, and the other partners that I mentioned, like Southeast Enterprise as well. And also remember the event on the 22nd of February. I will be speaking at that event very briefly. I suspect Rachel might be as well, and also somebody else from FSB, and Southeast Enterprise and the other partners will all be there, which is at the Engine House in Erith on the 22nd of February. So I can't see any more questions. So thank you for joining us today, and I think you should be able to get more support from us in due course if you join the programme. So I look forward to engaging with you in due course. I'd also like to thank Rachel and Martin Pinella, who had to leave because of other commitments. And again, if you've got any questions for Martin, we will be circulating his PowerPoint, but you can also email us and we will forward to them. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And stay tuned. If you're registered with us, there are more events coming soon, more webinars. The next one is on the 9th of February, and we'll be fielding questions from anybody about funding and funding applications and related issues. So that will be well worth joining, and that will be entirely led by local businesses and others who want to ask those questions. So speak to you all soon and take care. Bye.
See you all later.
Bye.